Point bearing helps to prevent internet-based identity fraud. And we do it by using a biometric, like a fingerprint or an eye or retina scan or a face, something that is innate to you that nobody else can have. And what we're trying to do is establish a trusted environment so that the people on the other end of the transaction in the internet know that it's really you. We do this initially through the use of a smart card. It's a computer chip and a computer processor that happens to be located on a card. We are also working on different tokens. One is a USB with a fingerprint scanner, another is a telephone actually. At the time that you're issued your identity card, if you will, someone is going to check your credentials and make sure that it's really you. And once they know it's really you, they're going to go through a process, which I'll show you, which is called an enrollment process, which is to capture some key information about you and embed it in an encrypted manner on this card. And the nice thing about that is if the card is lost, nobody can get to it because it's encrypted, and the key to that encryption happens to be the biometric, and in this case we'll be looking at a fingerprint. So unless somebody has your fingerprint, they can't get the encryption key to open the card. So if I lose the card, it is useless to anybody that picks it up. But once you get the card, then you can use it for the application, and the Trusted Exchange Controller, which we call TEC, was designed to be used as a front end to any internet application. And think of it as a configuration wizard that just attaches our software to it. And what's going to happen is when you go to use an internet application, you're going to be asked to prove that it's you, and the way you'll prove it is by putting the card in the card reader and supplying the same biometric that you did before. If the system matches everything, and that match is done right on the chip here, on the card, it isn't done in the central processor. If there's a match, we then tell the application that's being protected, one, that it's really you, two, what kind of role you have. For example, in a healthcare application, are you a patient or are you a physician? A patient has the right to look at all of his own medical data and all of his own financial data related to his treatment, but a doctor doesn't. The doctor, on the other hand, is entitled to look at the medical data for everybody that he treats, but none of the financial data. So depending on the role you have, you're being given different permissions in the application. And what we do is we tell the application who you are, what your role is, and what the system administrator had defined as the privileges that you're allowed to have when you get to the application, and we can do this down to the field level. Interestingly enough, about 80% of fraud that's committed is committed by people who actually are authorized to use the system, but who misuse their ability to get into the system to access data that they're not allowed to see. Because one, we know it's you, and two, we tell the application what fields you're entitled to see, and you just can't get to the other fields. So let's say I'm someone who already has a credential, a card. When I come up to the application and say, give me your credentials, and in this case I'm going to take the smart card that we're looking at, then it's going to come up and say, give me your fingerprint. I'm going to give the wrong fingerprint. It won't accept the wrong fingerprint. So let me then try to do the right fingerprint. And once I put the right fingerprint on, you notice immediately it brought up the application. Before, when I put the wrong fingerprint on, it told me no, but putting the correct fingerprint in. So Ed, if you were to take my card and try to get into the system, you would be denied access. I am registered into the system as a system administrator. And as a system administrator, there are certain things that I'm entitled to see. There's different cards. If I put this card down, it's going to tell me that I have different rights and privileges, and what you would see would be presented to me would actually be different. And that's because the system knows that the person who holds this card has different rights from the person who holds this card. Our business model is basically a licensing business model, and we're looking to sell to a system integrator or an intermediary who will incorporate the tech into their product and then basically resell it to their customers. So,
right. Freund, Point Bearing Technologies. What's your website?
www.pointbearing.com.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.